Hello, welcome to my car and welcome to Saturday. So it's already afternoon, but I've had an eventful day so far. I wanted to share it with you guys because I'm going to be spending most of my weekend in the kitchen. Right now it's lunchtime. By the way, okay, so I got Jimmy John's for lunch because I just dropped Kira off at Pizza Ranch with her friends. Adam and Connor are at home and I'm like, I'm hungry. I want Jimmy John's. Do you guys remember Quiznos? Quiznos was like a big thing when I was in college and I don't even know if they have. Oh my God, I have horseradish sauce on my effing dress. For God's sake. Well, there we go. Anyway, do you remember Quiznos? I think they still have it in some places, not around here. This sandwich, okay, tastes like Quiznos because Quiznos was the one that like toasted their sandwiches. This is one of their toasted roast beef sandwiches. I wish I could have got a half, but I'm not gonna be able to eat all this. Let me put it in the fridge. It's basically toasted roast beef and cheddar with a horseradish sauce. I added pickles to it and I don't get the onions or the crispy onions on it. It's so good. Okay, so let me take you back because Adam and I went to the farmer's market this morning and we went to this Mexican grocery store / market that's kind of newish in our town. So I wanted to show you what I got from there. All right, so here's everything that I got from the farmer's market. They don't have a ton of produce yet, obviously, because it's still very early in the season. But I did get some potted herbs to plant on my deck. So I got sage, 2 basil plants, and a rosemary plant. We got this German chocolate cake, and then also we tried some of these. They're pretty good. Sourdough. There's a lady there that makes like sourdough bread, and then she uses the sourdough starter in all of her baked goods. These are like little whoopie pie Oreos, pretty good. And then she also has these mini loaves of jalapeno cheddar sourdough, so I thought we'd try that. Some radishes, some spinach. I got 6 jalapenos, 4 cucumbers, a big bunch of green onions, and then 2 boxes of eggs. The eggs were only $4 a dozen, which is, what?
They were $3.50 a dozen. They
were $3.50 a dozen, which is honestly a super good deal. They're way cheaper than in the grocery store, and they're not washed, so they'll last even longer. Okay, and then we went to this Mexican grocery store that, it's not new, but I think it opened last year. I've never been there before. They had pre-made tamales. So we got 6 chicken and 6 pork. They were already cooked and warm and sitting in a pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the fridge and we can eat them later. But Connor's eating a couple right now. Have you tried it yet?
No.
No. And then I wanna make some beef birria. So I got some guajillo chilies, bay leaves, ancho chilies, chili arbol, some cinnamon sticks. I also got some tostadas. I thought this looked super interesting. I'll have to look and see if I can find some recipes for it. It's basically like a cilantro cooking base by Goya. I got some avocados. These charo beans, I've never seen these in the store before. They looked really good. This Herdez chipotle salsa cremosa. I thought that looked good. This vanilla was only $2.49, so that was super cheap. I got that. And then Adam found me a Diet Coke with my name on it, so got that. And then this chunk light tuna in water. I don't know if I've ever seen this brand in our grocery store before. Maybe I've never looked for it. Some tahine seasoning, and then some tahine mild. It says mild hot sauce with a hint of lime. Some chorizo. This is for the birria tacos. It's like the shredded Mexican melting cheese. And then I got some corn tortillas also. And then we found this Tapatio brand birria ramen. So we got a couple packs of that also. Okay, and the other thing I did was I went to Walgreens and got some like cosmetic-y stuff. I like to go there because sometimes they have deals like buy one get one 50% off. And then like I like to get their travel stuff also for my work travel because they have like the best selection of travel products. Anyway, now I'm at Walmart. I need to go in here and grab some groceries. I do have a jacket, so I'm gonna put a jacket over my horseradish stain. Anyway, Kira's having sleepover tonight. Did I tell you that? She's having a sleepover tonight for her birthday, and I think like 7 of her friends are coming over. And it's like she was telling us how many people were gonna come over. And Adam's like, geez, that's a lot of people. And she goes, sorry, I have so many friends. Which I thought was hilarious. Anyway, she wants a pasta bar for dinner. So typically, I think I've showed you guys that before, but typically I'll make like several pounds of pasta and then several different kinds of sauce. I may also, if I have time, make some lasagna because I think I have all the stuff for that. So I don't know, we'll see. But we need to go get stuff for that, snacks and drinks for the sleepover, and then probably breakfast stuff that I can make for them tomorrow morning. I have some really cute decor stuff at Walmart. Look at this little faux orange plant. It goes with this blue striped pitcher. Fighting the urge to buy these, even though I don't really need them. These dishes are acrylic, but really cute. Oh, look at that. Love it. I always love looking at these little like condiment racks of all these different condiments for $1. Kind of reminds me of like travel supplies. We have little jars of hot honey, Guy Fieri. What's that? Oh, sweet chili sauce. Oh, it's fun. Kira actually really likes this stuff. All right, so we're home now and we're gonna start cooking for this pasta bar. So this was quite possibly the most chaotic sleepover that I've hosted ever as a parent in my entire many years of parenthood. So Kira ended up having, I believe it was 9 girls over for dinner. And then she had 7 girls spend the night. So safe to say it was extremely loud in my house. So what I'm making for this pasta bar, which Kira picked, I told her that I could either do like a taco bar or a pasta bar, and she picked pasta. So I'm making chicken Alfredo and then some marinara with beef and a couple different types of pasta. I'm also going to make a salad and some garlic bread. And so I was sauteing the hamburger, and then I'm just seasoning up the chicken breast, which I'm going to cook on my outdoor gas grill just to make things easier. I'm just seasoning the chicken with like salt, pepper, garlic powder. I sauteed up a couple pounds of ground beef, and then I'm adding this 1 large jar of Prego that I got from Walmart, along with a little bit of water just to kind of rinse the jar out. And then I had a can of crushed tomatoes in my pantry. So I'm going to go, actually I had 2, looks like I had 2. So I'm adding 2 cans of crushed tomatoes, and then I'm going to go ahead and stir that together. So obviously the canned marinara sauce or the Prego comes pre-seasoned, but I do need to season the crushed tomatoes, which I'm going to use the recipe for marinara sauce out of my cookbook, which is the Essential Pantry Cookbook. If you guys have not picked that up yet, it is usually on sale on Amazon for pretty inexpensively, like usually around $12 to $14. So these are the ingredients for that marinara sauce. There is just some different spices, olive oil, garlic, a little bit of sugar just to kind of balance out the acidity of the tomatoes a little bit. So I went ahead and added all those seasonings. I'm just going to basically stir this, put a lid on it, and let it simmer while I cook the rest of the meal. And then you kind of just want to obviously adjust the seasonings to your taste. I have never made this particular recipe before. This is a copycat Olive Garden salad dressing, and it was so good. So I'm going to find the recipe that I used and let you guys know what it is in the description box below in case you want to try it. Basically, it was olive oil, mayonnaise, vinegar, and then some different spices, also like some Parmesan cheese. So I'm adding some oregano, some onion powder, and then some garlic powder. Obviously, you can buy the Olive Garden Italian dressing at most grocery stores. However, I do think that this is a little bit better. It's obviously fresher, and I do think that dressings like taste better when you make them at home, homemade. So I just went ahead and added all the ingredients into a jar, shook that up, and then this dressing dispenser is from OXO. I really love it. I'm going ahead and boiling the pasta. So I'm making some penne pasta and then also some linguine to go specifically with the chicken Alfredo. I made so much chicken for these girls and they ate every single last bit of it. I cannot remember how many pounds of chicken I had, but I want to say it was like almost 3 pounds of chicken. So for the salad, here's a trick. If you have your head of iceberg lettuce, you can bang it on the counter and then you can take the core right out. And then I just use a knife to chop that up. Obviously we're going to wash it. So I'm just putting all of the lettuce in the salad spinner, and then I will soak that in some really cold water for a good bit, both to wash the lettuce and then also to kind of perk the leaves back up a bit. This was so chaotic. I am so sorry. I did not get a better picture or footage of the completed meal, but I do like to keep the pasta warm in a crock pot. You can see that this was actually several hours later. I left it on too long and the pasta started kind of like sticking to the bottom of the crock pot. This is all the chicken that was left. It was like 3 bites of chicken left. Alfredo sauce, I used the packet Nor Alfredo, and then the marinara sauce turned out really good. I actually ended up with a good bit of that left and I was able to freeze it. And then I also made some bread. I had a bunch of wild grain frozen bread in the freezer that I just made up some melted butter with garlic and herbs, brushed that on top of it. This was a hit, you guys. Everybody loved it. All right, so I'm here in my hotel room this week because I'm traveling for work and I'm getting ready to do a taste test for this soup that I got for a different video, which is gonna be like the top new grocery items of 2025. And I'm wishing that I had some wild grain bread to dip in this soup as I try it because I love wild grain and they're sponsoring today's video. You guys know that I've been working with wild grain for a long time here on my channel, and they offer artisanal pastries and sourdough bread and honestly a lot more. They have pasta all delivered right to your door. It's especially helpful for me because I am not a bread baker, okay? I have tried so many times to bake bread in my life and I'm terrible at it. But anyway, I did prep some wild grain things for my kids before I left this week. So let me show you that real quick. So I'm going out of town this week for work and I'm trying to get a few things prepped for my family. I'm gonna go ahead and bake off these croissants from Wild Grain. These are seriously the best croissants, like hot, fresh, and ready you will ever have at home. They are so delicious. Okay, and then I've got my oven set to 370. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in, just 20 to 25 minutes. You do wanna make sure that they are quite brown when they're done, but obviously don't over bake them. So these are those perfect croissants and what they look like when they come out of the oven. Like I said, these are good just to eat plain. My kids really like them also with like a sandwich or with jam or something like that. And then I also prepped these chocolate chip cookies. So if you have not gotten the chocolate chip cookies from Wild Grain, I also highly recommend those. They bake up super huge and chewy, just absolutely perfect. We have pretty much loved every single thing that we've gotten from them. So if you're not familiar with Wild Grain, they're actually the first Bake from Frozen subscription box, and they offer sourdough breads, pastries, and fresh pastas. They also partner with small bakers and pasta makers across the country to help keep the tradition of artisanal and nutritious food alive. So you can build your own box. They have options to suit everyone's needs. Plus, you can customize your box with your favorite products, and it's super easy to do that on their website. I always keep a stash of Wild Grain in my freezer because I just feel like having fresh bread on hand is such a good side for dinner, whether you're making a freezer meal or a soup or a roast or a salad or anything like that. It's always good. I also highly recommend their French butter. It is so delicious with their bread. And also they donate 2 meals for every order. The meals go to the Greater Boston Food Bank and other various organizations who help fight hunger, which is great also. So if y'all want to check out Wild Grain, I highly recommend them. And if you haven't tried them yet, this is the perfect opportunity because you are going to get $30 off your first box. So why not try it? Plus, you're going to get free croissants for life. These croissants are so good. All you have to do is pull them out of the freezer, pop them right in the oven. My kids freaking love them. I love them. Adam loves them. Everyone loves them. So don't forget to check out Wild Grain. Again, link on the screen right here. Also in the description box below, $30 off your first box plus free croissants for life. Let's go. All right, so there's no rest for the weary. We're back again to make breakfast for all these girls that are in my house. So as you can see, yes, I always keep my house stocked up with wild grain. I had some croissants and raspberry lemon biscuits in the freezer, and so I decided to bake those up. I'm also going to make some fruit, some bacon and sausage, and we're just going to have a little kind of breakfast buffet spread here. So I got all of my ingredients out. Eggs. I'm also going to make some scrambled eggs as well. So just kind of prepping that all. I decided to go ahead and start the eggs, and then I'm also going to make a fruit plate first, so the girls can kind of snack on that while I was making everything else. So cracked a bunch of eggs into this big bowl. I can't even remember how many eggs I ended up using. I feel like it was more than a dozen. I feel like maybe it was 18. I can't remember for sure. But I'm going to end up making these like some cheesy eggs with a little bit of that green onion that I got from the farmer's market. They ended up turning out really good. Since I had so many eggs, I decided to use my hand mixer to whisk those up. So I just added my whisk attachment on to my hand mixer, and this made really quick work out of that. And then the fruit platter I made was strawberries, apples, and oranges. And I'm telling you, when you have 8 teenage girls in your house, they're going to plow through that fruit rather quickly. I went ahead and cooked up the bacon in a skillet, and then got the pastries out of the oven. I did put a little bit of butter on those raspberry lemon biscuits, and then went ahead and started cooking the eggs, which I think I did the eggs last, so those would be fresh. So I just have a big skillet with some butter in it, and then I just cooked the eggs really slowly, and then at the end added in a little bit of cheese and kind of stirred all of that together and garnished with some green onions. My thought was that they can also kind of have the eggs along with the croissants if they wanted to make a little breakfast sandwich. I don't think any of them really ended up doing that. And yet again, here, I forgot to film when I had all the food laid out, but you can see they tore through the bacon, the sausage. Probably about, 2/3 of the eggs were gone. I also had some bagels in the fridge that I pulled out, as well as some cream cheese, but everything was a hit. Okay, so it's Sunday evening, well, early evening, and everyone has finally left my house from the sleepover. It was very loud with like 7 girls here, 9 for dinner, 7 spent the night. So anyway, Kira's birthday was a couple weeks ago, and during her actual birthday, I was out of town for a work trip, and she wanted to get Chinese food, orange chicken and crab Rangoon. And I guess the restaurant that you normally order from was closed on that day. And so I told her when I got home this weekend, I would make it for her. So I am washing the green onions that I got at the farmer's market yesterday. I put in an order for a few groceries just to get the rest of the things I needed. So I'm gonna make orange chicken, broccoli, rice, and crab Rangoons. And then Adam's coworker brought over some rhubarb, which isn't in season for very long, so I'm also going to make a strawberry rhubarb crisp. So what I like to do with like green onions, whether I get them at the farmer's market or the store, is I really like to soak them for a good bit in cold water. It really does help perk them up so they're not so limp, and obviously washes them as well. Okay, so for the crab Rangoon, I'm using the recipe from New York Times. I do pay for a subscription to their app and their cooking app as well, which gives me access to all their recipes. I think that it's worth it because I can, use any recipe basically they've ever published and see the reviews and know that I'm getting a good one. So in here I've got 2 blocks of cream cheese, half a lemon that I just zested with my microplane, 1 teaspoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and then 3 tablespoons of green onions that I minced thinly. And then I'm going to use 2 cans of this white crab meat. I just drained it super well in a sieve to make sure all the liquid was out. And I didn't even have to buy the crab, actually. I had this in my pantry, and it's perfect because I was looking for something to use it for. Anyway, and I'm going to use my stand mixer just to make it easier to mix this up. All right, so we've got our crab Rangoon assembly line here. So I've got my filling. These are the wonton wrappers that I'm using. I just got them from Walmart. I just have them sitting here under a wet paper towel so they don't dry out. And then I'm kind of doing an assembly line. So I put about a tablespoon of filling, on each wrapper. I have a bowl here to kind of seal the edges, and then I just have a tray here with some flour on it so they don't stick. I'm gonna put the assembled ones on here, and then we need to freeze them for 15 minutes before we fry them. Okay, so my fancy folding technique, these were breaking a bit, so I just decided to turn them over and do triangles. I tried the other fold as well, and I think these wrappers are too small. Well, they're probably not if I put less filling in there, but you know what I mean. They're too small to do this like more traditional fold, so I'm gonna go ahead and stick these in the freezer. Okay, so here's the rhubarb. I got it out of the fridge. I'm just cutting it into pieces, and I'm gonna wash it. I'm gonna cut it on a plastic cutting board because it has a tendency to stain things. Okay, so I've got some melted butter in this bowl. I'm gonna make the crumble topping. So we're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of flour, half a cup of panko. I'm gonna stir this around so it doesn't get clumpy. And then a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. And then I need to add salt and cinnamon. Okay, so I went ahead and got a bigger skillet because I knew that I wasn't gonna have room to stir all that. So I'm just gonna cook this down for like 8 to 10 minutes until the rhubarb starts to break down. And I also added 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So I don't think I mentioned, but this particular recipe for the rhubarb crisp is from America's Test Kitchen. I have a ton of their cookbooks, but sometimes I want to find a recipe very quickly. So I ended up also getting a membership to their app and recipe website. So sticking that in the oven, and then you can see these are how the crab rangoons turned out. My kids loved these. I don't actually know if I've ever made homemade crab rangoons before at home, but it's definitely a lot of work, but I think it's worth it. They taste so much better than like the stuff you can get in the freezer. And then I found a recipe online for kind of like an easier orange chicken, where you take the chicken, cube it up, toss it with some cornstarch, and then you make this orange sauce with like soy sauce, orange juice, sesame oil, etc. I'll find the recipe and link it down below, but basically you want to whisk that sauce mixture together. And then after you coat the chicken in the cornstarch, I just went ahead and sauteed that in my big skillet in some oil, also seasoned with salt and pepper. And then once the chicken is kind of evenly browned, you can pour that sauce mixture in, and then basically just kind of simmer the whole thing together. And that cornstarch coating on the chicken is going to help thicken that sauce. And then I just kind of simmered this until the chicken was tender, adjusted the sauce, and this turned out really good. It is definitely cheaper to make it this way than to buy like the frozen orange chicken, because I don't know if you guys have ever bought that before, but you hardly get any in the box. It's ridiculous. So we had this with broccoli and some green onions on top. And then that rhubarb crisp, once that came out of the oven, I let it cool, and we ended up having it with some ice cream. This was so good. I am not even a huge rhubarb lover, but this turned out so good. And one of the things I think was really innovative about this particular recipe is the use of the panko breadcrumbs inside that crumb topping. It just makes it so crispy and delicious. So definitely recommend this recipe if you have some rhubarb you want to use. Good morning, friends. Happy Sunday. Kind of feel like a little bit like I won the lottery today, because we were supposed to have a soccer game out of town that was 90 minutes away. And so that was going to take up most of our day today. However, they ended up canceling it because of low participation. And so that means I get to spend the day at home getting ready for the week. So I thought I'd bring you along with me. It is currently 8:15 a.m. I am making breakfast right now. I'm going out of town for work this week, so I need to pack for that, and then basically clean out my fridge, prep some food. I'll show you what I cooked today. All the things. Let's go. Okay, so for breakfast, I'm going to cook the rest of this chorizo that we got from the Mexican supermarket last week, and then I've got some tortillas. If you've never, tried these lamb tortillas, they are so good. You just cook them in a skillet. In a dry skillet. It takes about a minute. Super easy. I have some eggs. And then I'm going to put some potatoes with the chorizo. shit, that's hot. I'm gonna put some potatoes with the chorizo as well. So I just took 3 small russet potatoes, peeled them, diced them up, and added them to a pan with some water and some salt, and I'll just boil those until they're tender. So I'm going to go ahead and start sauteing my chorizo. So I haven't really cooked a whole lot with chorizo in the past, and I feel like the reason for that is that a lot of the chorizo that is store-bought that you get at the regular grocery store is just super greasy, which, like, yes, chorizo is inherently greasy. However, this that we got from that Mexican supermarket was not as greasy as the stuff that I normally get at the grocery store. So what I did do was, once that came out of the pan, I did put it on a plate with some paper towels to drain it, wiped out the skillet, and then started sauteing the potatoes, and then whisked up my eggs. So once those parboiled potatoes were cooked in the skillet, I went ahead and added the drained chorizo back to that, and then just kind of scooted over to the side so I could cook the eggs. Cooked up my tortillas, and honestly, especially if you are not sure if you like chorizo, if you've never cooked with it before, I do recommend having it with the potatoes. I think that makes it really good. Adam has already been requesting this breakfast again. So basically we have the chorizo with the potatoes, eggs, and then I went ahead and obviously sliced up some green onions, put that on there with a little bit of cheese, had some hot sauce on the side, and then those fresh tortillas. A really, really good breakfast. So for lunch today for the kids, I am making some salmon bowls. So I had this salmon in the fridge that I needed to get used up, and I'm using this tangy herb and dill seasoning that I got from this spice shop in Iowa City called Allspice. The seasoning is so good. I need to buy more of it immediately. But I went ahead and coated the salmon with that, and then I'm just sauteing this in a skillet until it is cooked through, and I'm going to serve this with some leftover rice I had and some cucumber salad. So this cucumber salad recipe, I didn't actually pull out my recipe card to make this. I was just kind of winging it. But I'll see if I can find the recipe and link it down below. It is one that I have shared quite frequently before here on my channel, and I think it goes great with rice and either chicken or salmon or whatever protein you have. Basically, it's like sugar, rice vinegar. You whisk that together. I think I added sesame oil, soy sauce, some other things. Went ahead and flipped over that salmon once it was sauteed on the first side. The key with salmon is you do have to rest it after it's done cooking. Again, adding some sesame oil to that dressing for the cucumbers. Kira really likes these cucumbers. She's like, what is the sauce that you put on this? It's really good. And I'm like, it's a secret. No, I'm just kidding. I told her, what was in it. I also sliced up some green onions and put that in there. And this really doesn't have to marinate for that long. As you can see, I'm kind of cooking this all together at the same time. But I took that leftover rice out of the fridge, added it to a bowl. I like to put an ice cube in the bowl just so the rice can stay moist as it's reheating. Went ahead and heated that up, and then obviously this lunch comes together super quickly. I know I said I was making this for my kids, but it's definitely something that you can make for yourself as well for a quick lunch or dinner. I like to put those cucumbers with sauce over the rice next to the salmon, and then you can kind of eat it all together. Really good and fresh and delicious lunch. So my sister brought me some produce this weekend from her garden. She brought me some kale, some green onions, and some lettuce. And so I wanted to kind of get all of that washed up. So especially with greens, you do want to make sure that you wash them really well, obviously, but then also soak them in some ice cold water. And I like to soak the lettuce with some wedges of lemon. It really helps to not just clean the greens, but rehydrate them as well. Okay, so I think for dinner tonight, I'm going to put these pork chops on the grill. I actually got these on sale at Hy-Vee this week. They had a coupon, and these top loin pork chops were 88 cents each. So I've got these, and then they had these like little free samples of seasoning. I've never tried this before. Meehan's ribeye seasoning. It looks like it's got, well, it doesn't really say, it just says salt, paprika, etc. So I'm gonna go ahead and season these up. I've also got this burrata that I want to use up, so I'm gonna make a little bit of caprese. And then I have some asparagus that I want to use also. So I'll just have the asparagus, pork chops, and the burrata salad. I'm just making some toast to go with the salad. This is just potato sourdough bread. So I just put a little butter on there and toast it on each side. So obviously needed some basil for my burrata salad. So I just went out on my porch and I'm cutting that off of my basil plant. Definitely need to keep that going this summer for all of my herb needs. I'm gonna go ahead and slice up that basil and some tomatoes. And I just had one little ball of burrata left, so I went ahead and split that between Adam and I. The kids were actually gone for dinner this evening. They went to the pool with their friends, so it was just Adam and I, but I love a good burrata caprese with some bread. So for the asparagus, I'm just gonna cook it in this foil pan on the grill. So I added some oil and some seasoning, and I'm gonna add just the juice of 1 lemon. I'm again using, where'd it go? This tangy herb and dill seasoning from Allspice. It's so good. I put it on the salmon earlier that I made the kids. It says it's coriander, salt, mustard, garlic, onion, dill, citric acid, and dill weed. Yeah, that's very good. So I seasoned those pork chops pretty liberally with that free sample of the seasoning, which, by the way, was delicious. I have to admit, I've actually already ordered some on Amazon. And then I just grilled the pork chops. I haven't had pork chops in a while, and these turned out so tender. I was actually a little bit pleasantly surprised because they're lean pork chops, but then also grilled up that asparagus. This was a super simple dinner, but like I said, the kids were at the pool. Worked out really well. We had some barbecue sauce on the side with those pork chops. I think I need to go buy more pork chops, you guys. And obviously Murphy gets a little treat just for being so cute. Okay, so my sister brought me a bunch of produce that I've been washing up from her garden. So, hi Murphy. She brought me some kale. So I did wash this earlier and I just set it out to dry here on some paper towels. She gave me some green onion and then this lettuce. So I think what I'm going to do with the kale is I'm going to make a copycat recipe from Chick-fil-A, the kale crunch salad. Is that what it's called? I haven't had it in a long time. It sounds good. So I'm just going to go ahead and thinly kind of chop up that kale. What you want to do is just take a bunch of the kale and kind of like roll it into a bundle and then chop it up fine. Okay, so I've got 6 cups of kale. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil and then just kind of massage this. This just helps the kale get a little bit more tender, although this kale that is from the garden is much more tender than the stuff you get from the grocery store for sure. All right, we're gonna toast up some almonds. So I've got, these are just slivered almonds. Got some olive oil in here. I'm gonna add some salt. I need about 2 cups of sliced green cabbage. So I'm just gonna go ahead and shred this, and then I've got my salad spinner over here, so I'll put the chopped cabbage in there and rinse it just to make sure everything's clean. Okay, so for the dressing, we're gonna do 1/4 cup of olive oil and then 3.5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. 2.5 tablespoons of maple syrup. We could probably use honey. And then we need Dijon, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. All right, so we're gonna shake up that dressing in a mason jar. Obviously, you could put this in a bowl and whisk it, but I really like the shaking method. I think it works really well, especially for emulsifying dressings. Okay, let me know down below, does the original Kale Crunch salad from Chick-fil-A have apples? I feel like it doesn't, but this particular recipe that I used did. Anyway, it was good no matter what. Highly also recommend making those homemade toasted almonds. Those turned out super good and were a really good addition to this salad. And even my husband, who is not a super salad fan, ate this all week while I was traveling for work. So that's a win. If you guys want to check out Wild Grain and get $30 off your first box plus free croissants for life, highly recommend you check them out. And if you want to watch my latest career/life update video, you can click this video right here.